student and I'm Group 6 reporter and I'm leader of the group. And our reporting is all about defective norms of morality. Some different views on the same, defective views on the nature of man. His action and purpose with the validation answer the question such as hedonism. Hedonism is my assigned report to me, and this is our topic to you guys. Hedonism. Hedonism is an ethical theory which hold the supreme end of man consists in the equation of pleasure, and that action are good or bad according to the whenever they give or do not give worldly pleasure or temporary happiness to man morality. Therefore is grounded on the pleasure of the satisfaction and the act of bring of entail, the good action and the pleasant action. The bad action is the which product and pain. Hedonism is an ethical theory which holds that supreme end of man consists in the equation of pleasure. This is my example about hedonism. Example: if you ever eaten too much candy in one time, you know how this works. You may enjoy the candy at the time, but soon after you get a terrible stomachache, and in the long run, your teeth will not away. It's turned out behaving hedonistically is likely bring you more pain than you pleasure than eventually. Halimbawa, marami kang nakakain na candy sa isang araw, sa isang pagkakataon. Maaaring magkos sa iyo ito ng uh, pagsasakit ng ngipin o sasakit ng tiyan. Doon na papasok yung ugaling hedonism. Imbis na masiyahan ka sa iyong kinakain na candy, yun pala ay makakasama sa iyong pansugal. Halimbawa, gusto mo yung isang bagay, pero yun pala ay makakasama sa iyo. Yun ang hedonism. That's all. Dito na magtatapos ang aking report about hedonism. Susunod na po yung aking mga kasama na magre-report. Thank you. Maraming salamat.
So, hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Kasim Maliga, and this is my topic. It is all about the utilitarianism. So, what is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism is a theory very much akin to hedonism. It makes utility the norm morality. Good is that what which administers to the temporal welfare and happiness of man, and bad which obstructs of hinders of retards the happiness. According to the utilitarian view, the goodness or badness of an action will depend on the effects or consequences of the action. An act is good if and when it good gives result. If it works, it makes you successful and it makes you attain your purpose. But if this doesn't not, so according nga dun sa sinabi is kumbaga kung maganda yung ginawa mo, magiging maganda rin yung resulta ng iyong ginawa. So kapag masama naman is kumbaga masama talaga. Kumbaga pag gumawa ka ng kabutihan, kumbaga ang resulta talaga is matik na mabuti talaga. So kung masama yung ginawa mo, kumbaga resulta talaga is masama. So karagdagan dyan ay ang teoryeng ito ay naniniwala na ang kasiyahan at kaligayahan ay may tunay na halaga. Ang mga ito ang nais nating lahat at ang pangwakas na kahangarin ng lahat ng ating mga aksyon. May magandang bagay kung may nagtataguyo dito ng kaligayahan at masama kung nagdudulot ito ng pagdurusa. So lahat naman tayo, di ba? Kaya tayo gumagawa ng isang bagay is kumbaga para gumawa tayo ng kabutihan at magkaroon ito ng magandang resulta. So, yan yung utilitarianism para sa akin. So, meron tayong, we have two types of utilitarianism. So, first, the individual or egoistic utilitarianism or simply egoism. Number two is social or altruistic utilitarianism or simple altruism. So, ano ba yung sinasabi nating egoism? So, egoism is ethical theory that treats self-interest as the foundation of morality. Kumbaga, nasa sarili mo yung kung paano, kumbaga i-treat mo yung paano mo i-treat yung sarili mo. And number two is altruism. So, selfless concern for well-being of others. So, ito yung kumbaga hindi siya makasarili tapos parati niyang inuunawa yung ibang tao kaya sa sarili niya. So, according to individual utilitarianism, the norm of morality resides in the useful of an action that for production of the temporal happiness of the individual. Therefore, an act is good when it rebounds to the temporal welfare and happiness of the individual and bad if it hinders or hampers this happiness. Kumbaga sa isang ice cream is, kumbaga kung bibili ka ng ice cream, binipili mo yung anong gusto mong flavor, kung ano yung masarap at saka yung makapagbibigay sa iyo ng kaligayahan. And the next is, on the other hand, is the type of utilitarianism which holds that an act is good when it's conductive of the social good will of being. This is called altruism as distinguished from the first which is called egoism. Kumbaga ito, kumbaga tumutulong ka sa kapwa mo. Kumbaga yung parang mga sagip ka pamilya, kumbaga nagdo-donate ka, parang masaya ka masyado kung gawin yun. Kumbaga parang volunteer mo masyado yung kaligayahan. So, in a critical appearance of hedonism and utilitarianism. So, merits of these theories. Hedonism and utilitarianism explains very well that the emotional basis aspects of human actions, there is always some satisfaction accompanying the doing of very good act. Hedonism or utilitarianism also explains well the reason behind the doing of action by the most people. For there, this is no doubt that most of them are motivated in their action by their desire for satisfaction, for happiness, or well-being. So, kumbaga, ginagawa lang nila ng mabuti yung nais nilang gawin. Kumbaga, may nag-i-effort sila kung ano yung gusto nilang magiging kahihitnan ng kanilang ginagawa. Kumbaga, kung maganda yung ginagawa nila, is maganda rin talaga yung effect, kumbaga yung resulta. So, we have the defects of hedonism and utilitarianism. So, number one is both propose an early goal for man, namely the temporal welfare here on earth, whereas we have already proved in a former thesis that ultimate and supreme purpose of man cannot be found in this life. So, kumbaga yung bilang goal ng isang lalaki is kumbaga hindi mo talaga mahanap yung totoong kaligayahan dito. So, number two is both make or tend make morality relative. Since what is pleasant, useful to one be painful or harmful to another. But relative morality leads to moral chaos and destruction. So, three, both theories make morality extrinsic because they make it depend on the defect or a concomitant on a factor of an act. Whereas, as we have already shown, morality is instinct that is based on the very essence of things and nature of the itself. Hedonism and utilitarianism mistake that indicate an act itself. Hedonism, they confuse the nature of the act and the effect as a, if they should mistake the symptom for the disease. Satisfaction or pleasure may indicate and accompany the doing of good act, but the act is good not because it brings satisfaction, but rather it brings satisfaction because it's good. In other words, the pleasure follows from the goodness and the good and not the goodness from the satisfaction, and the satisfaction or pleasure is merely an effect and an indication but not the cause or the reason of the goodness of an action. Kumbaga, habang ginagawa mo na is nandun na yung kaligayahan mo. Kumbaga, habang ginagawa mo siya, nandun na yung, kumbaga, joyful mo. Kumbaga, hobby mo siya. Tsaka, hindi naman siya, kumbaga, hindi mo siya ginagawa para maging isang ah dun pa, parang maging siguradong maganda talaga yung kalalabasan. So the next one is we have the theory of Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer is tries to reconcile the claims of egoism and altruism. So he defines life as continuous adjustment of internal to external relation. Kumbaga, mag-a-adjust talaga siya mula sa loob hanggang labas. The adjustment of self to others, selves coexisting in society. Life is progressing towards perfect adjustment in a perfect society where claims the individual will have soon are harmonized and identified with the claims of others. Kumbaga, ito yung pakikisama, kumbaga, adjust. But man is still a relatively low level in this evolutionary development. Man is not yet adjusted. There's too much selfishness yet and too little altruism. Yes. The essence of morality and so with life, the adjustment of individual to his fellow community. Good therefore, this is the which furthers life, which makes man well adjusted. And bad is that which make is miserable and happy due to mala adjustment. Kumbaga kung adjust, kumbaga minsan kasi kumbaga adjust ka, kumbaga hindi mo nagaganapan yung role mo is kumbaga hindi ka masyadong ganun ka saya. So the next is about the moral rationalism. So what is moral rationalism? So exposition of the theory. So rationalism is a theory of knowledge, which means things that all knowledge and all truths are derived from the human reason. Human reason, therefore, according to the theory, the source of all truths, all laws, and all principle. Kumbaga, katotohanan. Rationalism is an ethical theory advocated by German philosopher Immanuel Kant. So, according to this theory, human reason is the source of all moral laws and all moral obligation. Reason commands and the commands of reason are absolutely unconditional, absolutely binding of all men in all times. This is what Kant called the categorical imperative. Reason commands and we must obey without questioning. Therefore, Kant teaches an absolute morality which requires of demands man's absolute obedience. Therefore, good must be done simply because virtue must be practiced for goodness for good sake. So why we do good according to Kant? We must do good because we must in our duty. Kumbaga, sa, nature natin yung pagiging mabuti. So kailangan natin gumawa ng isang kabutihan. Kasi kumbaga, duty natin yun. So, di na tayo dapat magtanong, kumbaga, without additionally questioning. So, this is the true essence of morality. According to Kant, is a priority. It is universal and it is absolute. That is invariable, immutable, the laws and principles of mathematics. So, reason will be the lawmaker. And the lawgiver and the law obeyer at the same time. The opposite theory is so-called heteronomy of reason. According to which morality comes from the reason itself, but from a higher and the other source of human reason. This is the Christian view. According to Kant, because Christian ethics, that is reason itself, does not make the law, but receives it from the God. The supreme law give the view of morality said is the source of superior ethics. Since reason is universal and the same for all men, and since the command of reason is categorical and universally binding on all men in all of times of all places, it follows that the test for the goodness of the action, this capability of universalization without contradiction, and act its good can be contrivialized, that is, can be practiced by all men without bringing about its own negation or obligation. Kant illustrates the test of morality by some striking examples. Takes the breaking one's promise. This act, according to Kant, is wrong precisely because it cannot meet the universal law. Because what will happen if one break the promise? Then no one will believe the promise anymore. No one will make the promise and make sense. No one will make promises with and no more promises will be broken. Kumbaga, nagtiwala ka is kung hindi mo tinupad, kumbaga wala na talagang ah, titiwala sa ulit kasi kumbaga na wala na yung tiwala sa iyo. Kumbaga pinutol mo, binigyan mo sila ng rason kung para hindi ka nila pagkatiwalaan ulit. So another, autonomy of reason. Autonomy is essentially the freedom of reason. One is free only when one's actions are determined by the objective, universalizable requirements of reason because rationality distinguishes man from brutes. In acting rationally, one's actions are free, autonomous, and self-determined. So, follow a person whose actions were guided by categorical imperative could not lie to gain an advantage. For example, because he could not consistently will that everyone should follow the rule. Lie when is to your advantage to do so. So, if everyone did follow this rule, then no one would trust the word of anyone else. And no one, including the person competing the lie, would be able to reap the benefits of lying. Kumbaga kung nagsinungaling ka, tsaka di mo tinupad yung pan mo, wala na talagang magtitiwala sa iyo kasi you broke the promise or the law or your rules. The criticism of the Kantian theory. So the merit of Kant's theory resides in its due emphasis on the absolute and immutable nature of morality. In this way, Kant's theory helped to save morality from destructiveness and insanity of moral relatively and skepticism. So, however, it is not free from certain basic defects. So, bring to Kant, so autonomy of reason is autonomous. It is a reason that commands, and at the same time, it is a reason that obeys reason according to the same view makes the law. Kant thus confuses that what is merely indicative for what is constitutive. Reason is declarative faculty. It thinks things, it does not make things. It tells us the law. It does not make the law. The very fact that we are subject to the moral law and bound to obey the moral law, according to the testimony of our conscience, shows that the moral law is not our own making, but it is imposed on us as higher source. So if the law were made by human reason, then everything that we would like to could be approved by reason. But the fact is, we have many things we like to do, but which we know against the decrees of our conscience. So nothing can be superior and inferior to itself at the same time, but absurdity shows itself in Kant's theory of the autonomy of reason. For reason is the supreme commander and the commanded at the same time. Kant does not provide the deeper explanation why reason commands and why we must obey. Kant does not explain the ultimate reason, but we takes the granted why reason commands and why reasons obey. So kumbaga, ginagawa lang naman natin to baga yung isang bagay kasi kumbaga pinangako natin at saka kumbaga nasa rules yun. Tsaka kung pag hindi mo talaga tinupad, kumbaga walang magtitiwala sa iyo. Duty as norm of morality. Duty cannot be the sole motive and the performance of an act. There are other motives that are more worthy and more noble, such as love, pity, mercy, and etc. There are many actions which are not only good but unquestionably of the highest category of love and patriotism. Like for example, Jose Rizal's dying a hero's death which was are not motivated by inspired by duty but by love. According to Kant, this heroic act of Rizal cannot be called morally good because it is not done out of your sense of duty. Kumbaga, hindi naman siya nating nakitang nakipaglaban gamit yung kanyang mga espada kasi kumbaga ginagamit niya is yung panulat. Diba? Hindi siya katulad nila Andres Bonifacio na naghimagsikang talaga gamit yung mga kanilang sandata para ipaglaban yung Pilipinas. So, ayun lang yung pananaw ni Kant about dun. So, the explanation is, moral norms are the rules of morality that people out of law. An evolutionary explanation of the emergence of moral norms proceeds in stages. They are different terms of different kinds of social interaction. Norms of justice, norms of cooperation, norms of prescribing various kinds of allotteric behavior. So moral standard refers to the norm which we have about the types of action which will be morally acceptable, morally and acceptably. Specifically, moral standards deal with the matter which can either seriously harm or more seriously benefit human beings.
Good morning again everyone. My name is Joel Gaber, B third year college, BSc History. So today I want to discuss it with you to talk about moral positivism. Moral positivism is in general in the theory that holds that the basic or resource of all moral law in the laws of the state. Moral positivism is not just the denial of universal object and changeless norms in the moral orders. Whenever the good is reduced to definable norms and not left in the state of a general exclusion of the bad, there is always some change in standards. According according to Thomas Hobbes, legal positivism is often described as the view that there is no necessary relationship between law and moral values. From Hobbes, legal positivism represented decisive break with the intellectual tradition of common law scholarship which could no longer provide satisfactory account of political authority. And now we proceed to moral evaluationism. This is the theory of all those who holds that morality is never fixed or absolute but is not continually changes, and this is the theory of all those who holds that morality is never fixed of absolute but is continually changes and evolving gradually into a perfect morality. Friedrich Nietzsche believes that morality, the distinction between right and wrong, did not exist in the beginning of original unknown. Good is that which anybody desired. Friedrich Nietzsche, he was convinced that traditional values represented a self-morality, a morality created by weak and resentful individuals who encourage such behavior as gentleness and weakness because the behaviors serve their interest. These are the law value deserve and based on the teaching of Christianity which stand for meekness, humility, suffering pity, mercy, poverty, forgiveness, and love. This value glorify and favor that weak and produce weaklings. But according to Nietzsche, we must produce the strong. The law of nature is the survival of the fittest. The strong is destined by nature to live and rule. The weak has no right from nature to live. The weak who from the majority must be eliminated in order to give way to the aristocracy of the strong. He advanced this idea by saying that the traditional morality was no longer relevant in people's lives. From him, the end of all morality and society to produce the strong, the Superman. Those might, strength, and power from the base of true morality. Good is that one Swedes make one strong, powerful, and most of all superhuman, and bad is that Swedes is productive of the weak. And that's all. Once again, my name is Joerem Geber, and thank you to listening.
Good day to all of us. My name is Borneo Janmark. Today, I will report it's all about moral cynicism and communism. So first, let me define to you what is moral cynicism. So, moral cynicism is an ethical theory which holds that endowed with a special moral sense with virtue, of which man distinguishes between right and wrong. So, no sense of morality. And the no sense of morality is having or showing no concern about whether behavior is morally right and wrong, continuously without moral example. Someone who lacks the mental ability to understand right and wrong. Two ironies might be. So, example dito, sabihin ka na lang bigla na itapon na sa tulay. Itapon na yun sa tulay. So, di alam ng tao na yun na yung tao na yun, wala siyang concern sa iyo, kaya niya sinasabi ang mga ganung bagay sa iyo. And, so notice, no moral taste. So no moral taste, if you have no moral, without such rules, people around would not be able to live among other humans. People could not make plans, could not leave their belongings behind them whenever they went. We would not know who to trust and what expect from others. Well civilized social life would not be possible. So, dito, halos karamihan ng mga tao, di nila alam kung paano magkipagsalamuha at di nila basta-basta nagtitiwala at di sila basta-basta nagtitiwala sa ibang tao na bawa iiwan nila yung isang bagay tapos sabi niya pakibantay na lang pero hindi niya yung masabi kasi hindi siya nagtitiwala sa ibang tao na pakibantayan yung kanyang mga gamit or belongings. So, communism. So, communism is founded on theory of change, evolution, and revolution. So, everything is progressing towards the goal of perfection. So, lahat ng tao, lahat ng ito ay natural lang and necessary then towards at upang makamit kung ano man ang kanilang ultimate objectives. Ginagawa nila ang lahat ng anumang mga bagay para lang makamit nila kung ano ang kanilang gusto. All of these are involved in the inexorable laws of dialectic materialism. And another communism is a philosophical, social, political, and economic ideology and movement whose goal is the establishment, whose goal is the of a, of a communism society. So, namely a socioeconomical order structured upon the ideas of common ownership of the means of production and the absence of social classes, money, and state. So,